Hello friends, this is Worm on Shax's bad side apparently, and today I wanted to interrupt the normal stuff, the whole video I was doing, because I need to vent some frustrations here, some frustrations that still to this day happen for some crazy reason in regards to Crucible matchmaking. So for those of y'all who are new here, I've made like several videos in the past talking about Crucible matchmaking and how just really wonky it is, which it's gotten better throughout the years. Of course, you know, back in D2, or you know, the original launch of D2, we had all kinds of issues, you know, of course, after, was it post Witch Queen? I believe that's what it was. You know, we had the whole issue with people just leaving games, and so Bungie had to implement the punishment for leaving games, and that was a whole mess in and of itself. But here we are, we're in today's time frame, final shape time frame, and really it's not too bad. But every now and then, and it always seems to happen after Iron Banner, the matchmaking just gives up or something, I guess. So let me first of all talk about what I'm talking about. So yesterday, of course, weekly reset, Act 2 just dropped, so I wanted to hop on and I wanted to do all my stuff for week 1 of Act 2. That's typically the first thing I do when a new week starts. So I did all that mess, I did the quest, I did all that stuff, and it was around, I want to say like 11 p.m. now. Typically I go to bed about midnight. That gives me enough time to wind down so I get enough sleep, wake up at about 8, 9 in the morning. But last night, it was 11 o'clock when I finished, and I thought, hey, you know what? I'll end the night with a couple of Crucible games, right? Like, you know, just probably like 4 or 5 that I can fit in. And so I went in and I played the Crucible. In the first game, I had a tremendous game, like an insanely good game. I rounded out the game with like an 11.5 KD or something crazy like that, with a bunch of kills. We ended up mercying the enemy team, which was a 6 stack, by the way, which, you know, doesn't mean they're necessarily good, but it was a 6 stack. We ended up mercying them, and it was like, wow, that was a really awesome game. Of course, wasn't recording at the time because that was my warm-up game, right? But then I went on to the next game, and I start flying in and stuff, and I load in, and I notice there's nobody else's ship flying in with me, and I always get worried when I see this because it means I'm loading into a game that's already in progress, and I typically don't know what's the outcome of this game is going to be. So I load in to multiplex, and I run maybe 45 seconds. I run to the flag because we were triple capped when I joined in. So I run to the home flag, start capping it, and we get mercied. Okay, Shax does his little things. I'm calling it whatever. Okay, like that's frustrating. And of course, there happened to be a cheater on the enemy team too. They're flying around literally through the walls and everything, just golden gunning everybody. But I'm like, why, Bungie? Why would you put me in that game? Okay, whatever, we'll just go on to the next one. So I go on to the next game. Again, an insanely good game. Like a game where I'm getting a substantially higher KD than what I normally would. You know, a game where I'm getting a ton of kills, where I'm absolutely mowing through like 4 or 5 enemies at a time. Just a wild good game. And I know that the enemy team is not having a good game because at the end of the game, all their KDs were less than 1, with the exception, I think, the person in first place, they had a 1 point something KD. But it's like, okay, like that's not very fun. Then the 4th game that I played, okay, load in again to a match that is like I literally loaded in, I didn't take 3 steps forward, and we were mercied. And I just don't understand. Not only that, but I'm constantly encountering games, yesterday and the day before, I should say, yesterday and the day before with Iron Banner, encountering games where people are leaving in the game. Okay, and this happened last night. I think I played a total of like 6 games last night. And in 3 of the games from last night, and 3 of the games, 2 of them were mercies. 1 of them was just a game that I ended up leaving because there was like 2 people left. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Players were just leaving the game as soon as something goes wrong, as soon as something goes south. And I don't know, like I've noticed that this is kind of like, it happens a lot whenever there are 2 people that are just in a duo or a trio. Like the millisecond something doesn't go our team's way, they just leave the game, or vice versa. The second something doesn't go the enemy team's way, they just leave the game. And again, this is predominantly happening post Iron Banner, and I notice every single time Iron Banner comes around, like it's like the matchmaking just takes a little vacation for that 1 extra day. But still, it's like, why do we still have these problems? Why am I having a game where I am mercying the enemy team, and then then the next game I'm getting loaded into a mercy, and the next game I'm mercying the enemy team, and I say me and my team, I should say, me and my team are mercying the enemy team, and then I load into a match where we're getting mercy. Like that's not fun. Like, yeah, like I know a lot of people say, oh, like it's fun to stomp on news, blah blah. Like, yeah, every now and then it's fun to have a game where you have like, you know, an 8 or 9 KD, like something super high. But at the same time, there's not much challenge, and if you're getting KDs that high, you're not really improving your gameplay, right? You're only stomping on low level players, and like that's fun every now and then, but for regular play, to regularly be, you know, every other game getting a super high KD, that's not fun because you're not improving your game skill. And I'm not sure why after Iron Banner leaves it always seems like this, like the matchmaking is just all over the place. Like, is it because people's, you know, MMR is reset weekly? Like, I don't really know how it all works. Like, I don't know the inner workings of it, but I would love for Bungie to get it fixed and get it taken care of so it's not so much of an issue. But not only that, why am I still getting loaded into Mercy games, or why are players in general still getting loaded into a game where there's literally nothing you can do to save it? Like, if I load into a game and I see the score is like 12 to like 68, I know for a fact we are about to get mercied. Like, I know that within the next 20 seconds we're gonna get mercied. That's a waste of my time. You know, and I know everybody plays Crucible for different reasons. The reason I play Crucible is because I like to win. I would rather have a game where I win and have a poor KD than have a high KD and a loss. Okay, and that's just, you know, that's just for me personally. But why is it loading me into a game that I have absolutely zero chance of making a comeback for? Because whenever you're loading in and the score is, you know, 12 to 69, there's no way you can win. Like, even as a really strong player, like put me in a game, you know, the score of my team is 12, the enemy team is let's say like 70 or something like that. I keep going up in that number, and it's a team of, you know, the enemy team and my team are all just a bunch of complete noobs, and I'm able to stomp on them. It's not going to save the fact that it's still going to get mercied. Like, one person is not going to change the outcome of a game whenever the score discrepancy is already that high. So why is Bungie still doing that? I really don't know. And of course, the issue with people leaving, this is something that it's never fully gonna go away, and I'm okay with that. You know, like, it's very rare that I'm encountering games where people are just leaving just because, right? Like, it's very rare that I encounter a game where, oh, like 4 people just left, you know, just because. That's the 3rd, 4th game that's happened in the past 2 hours where that's happened. Like, no, it doesn't happen all that often, but at the same time, I feel like some safeguards could be put in place to prevent that. Obviously, we saw the whole matter of, you know, the Crucible bans in the standard playlist, like literally the control playlist. You would get banned from it if you left 2 or more games within X amount of time frame. Like, I think that was ridiculous, and I don't want to go back to that. But at the same time, there are people who habitually leave games, and I think that Bungie, they're smart enough to develop some type of software to detect who is a habitual leaver, so to speak, who is habitually leaving games because whatever reason. And those are the players that Bungie should issue temporary bans to or restrictions to, because I know for a fact there are people out there that, you know, the second something is not going the right, they just leave. Okay, like, and that's not fun for anybody else. Okay, because number one, it leaves your team at a disadvantage, and especially, like I said, duos and trios seem to be the most common at this. Like, I rarely see just one player leave during a game. It's typically 2 people or 3 people leaving at a time. But these players that are leaving, they're now leaving their team in a bind because now it's a 3v6, which is not going to be fun. Like, that's going to be impossible to win. That's really going to be even almost impossible to have a good, fun game coming out of, because you're going to be constantly running into more than one enemy, because there's only 3 of your team and there's 6 of the enemy team, right? But that also puts the enemy team in a situation where now there's 6 people fighting for 3 kills at a time on the map, and that's not fun either. Like, there's a reason why it's 6v6. You know, Bungie wants to have 1 person for 1 person in every single situation, right? And whenever you take away 3 people out of the equation, it's 3v6. You're going to have struggles getting kills, and that's not fun. Like, anytime I see a game where the enemy team has left and there's like 2 or 3 people left in the game, I'll leave the game right there, right? Because it's not very common that happens. But if I was the one that was leaving, you know, my team died on B, okay, I'm leaving the game, right? Then the next game, dang it, like, I got shotgun rushed, I'm leaving the game, rage quitting, right? It's like, then I'm the problem. Right, I don't think it's a problem to leave games whenever there is no chance at winning, or there's no chance at really having a fun game. Like I said, like if it's a 2v6, it's not going to be a fun game. It's not going to be a fun situation at all. Just leave the game at that point. And the people who leave games like that, maybe Bungie could implement some sort of like a lift to those matchmaking penalty rules. Like if you are in a game and 2 or more people leave that game, then that penalty is lifted, and it says so on screen, hey, it's lifted. If you want to leave the game, you can now safely leave the game. You won't be punished. You won't have a ban, or something like that. And of course, when talking about the habitual leavers, like what should be the number of games or the time limits, the time frames for leaving games, like how much that should be, I'd leave it up to Bungie. I would say at least 3. Beforehand it was, you got a warning on the first game that you left and the second game that you left or got DC'd from. We'll talk about DCs in just a second. But, the games that you got DC'd from, you would basically get a ban, after the second one. And that's not really, I didn't think that was really a good idea. So maybe we could increase it to 3 within an hour. So within an hour of playing, if you leave a game 3 times, within an hour, maybe 2 hours, just to give some more leniency in there. 3 games, or not leniency, I guess, to be a little bit more tight and constricted, but leaving 3 games would implement that habitual leavers ban, and then you're banned from everything Crucible related for, I don't know, 6 hours, or something like that. And now I know a lot of people are going to talk about disconnections and, well, what if I'm getting disconnected? That's not fair. And here's what I say, again, back in the day, whenever it was 2 strikes and you're out, the whole disconnecting thing, that was frustrating because also the servers at the time weren't in the best state. Now I have yet to be an error coded from a Crucible game since basically the final shape dropped, or since the Echoes episode dropped. Sorry, that's difficult to say. I have yet to be error coded from a Crucible game. Like I've been error coded like a very select few times, but I have yet to be error coded from a Crucible game. So I think that the servers are in a lot more of a stable state, but also like if you are getting booted from a game, if you were getting disconnected from a game 3 times, like unfortunately it's not like it's not necessarily your fault that you're getting disconnected, but still, like, we had to protect all the other players as well. Go play in PvE, go play Strike, something like that. Hell, for me personally, if I'm playing in like a game and I'm constantly getting disconnected from the game, I'll stop playing the game and go play something else. Like if Destiny has server issues, or if I'm having internet issues when I'm playing Destiny and I'm getting error coded every 15-20 minutes, I'm just not going to play Destiny anymore, because I know it's not going to be fun for me personally to constantly get error coded. But also I know that if I'm playing, for example, in the Crucible, like, it's not going to be fun for people in the Crucible, because now, oh, your team is left with in a 5v6 situation, or a 4v6, or whatever it is. But anyways, that's today's rant. Just Crucible matchmaking. Again, I don't really know if there's anything Bungie can do about it, and it's probably going to be fine by tonight, but still, I wanted to talk about it, so that's the video for today. But of course, I want to hear your thoughts on the Crucible business and matchmaking and stuff like that. Yeah. Do me a favor, like the video, helps the channel a lot. Subscribe for more daily Destiny content, conversations, debates, discussions, whatever you want to call them. And do me a favor, watch the videos you see on the end screen here, because for whatever reason, YouTube thinks you will like them. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now, guys.